that noise in the background is going to be really loud. Closing the door.
Hi friends! Hi guys! It's Wednesday. Hello, hello. Okay, peeps. We're doing some mobility. So we're gonna do a lot of groin focus today, in case you care to know that. And you just need a mat. I'm just gonna wait a couple minutes. I popped on early so people could log on and get all set up. So we'll just wait a few minutes here, but you can get yourself sort of situated and ready to go. We're going to be starting in a cross-legged position today. If it hurts your knees too much, you can definitely just uncross a little bit, or like uncross even more. If it really bothers you, sitting on a block is really helpful if you have one. Sitting on a block. All right, so sitting, we're gonna be starting sitting cross-legged. Just gonna wait a couple minutes. Welcome to week 9 in quarantine. I still can't believe it's been 9 weeks. Like, for me, it's like 8 weeks minus a day in full. So we're starting out like week 9 right now, which is just craziness, really. So if you do have a yoga block at home, or even some thick books work really well, it'll help with a cross-legged position sitting on the block. It allows you to sit up nice and straight. Right? All right, guys. Let's get started. So trying to keep your spine nice and tall. You want to watch that you're sitting up tall when you're sitting here. If you find yourself hunching over, that's not going to be very good. So a way to work on that is to sit up on something. So a yoga block or a couple of books or even like a really thick cushion that's got a lot of like substance to it that you won't sink into. Something like that'll work well. Otherwise, if you are comfortable sitting on the ground, just make sure that you pay close attention to your back and your spine being nice and straight throughout. Shoulders rolling down away from your ears and back, and keeping that position throughout. And your core is always going to be engaged. Even though this is a mobility class, it doesn't mean that you just let it all hang out. You want to keep your core engaged, because as we move through all of the movements today and flow through things, your core being engaged throughout will help recruit the right muscles and help make your joints do the work that they're meant to do, because every movement we do is meant to be supported by the core. So anyways, hope that makes sense. So sitting cross-legged, make sure that spine is nice and tall, shoulders are rolled down and away from you, core is engaged, sitting up nice and tall. Closing your eyes here for just a moment and take a couple of deep breaths. And we're going to start by tilting our head to one shoulder and then slowly to the other. One way and then the other. And don't force yourself into a full range right out the gate. You want to sort of start small with your movements, and then gradually they get larger and larger. And then you'll feel like your ear is slowly getting closer and closer to each one of those shoulders. Rolling it down in front and back. So we're just rolling shoulder to shoulder here. Make sure that you're keeping those shoulders down. we have a tendency to lift the shoulders up and bring tension to the neck. So you want to just think about keeping those shoulders down throughout and allow all of the vertebrae in your neck to be long and lean. We're getting some traction here. Coming back to the center. We're going to bring our ear back to one shoulder, and you're going to gently place one hand on top, and the opposite arm is going to reach behind your back. You're going to do that just for a moment, and then switch to the other side. So you're not holding it, you're just pausing there for a moment. So these types of movements are not just for the muscles that are running down the neck and through the top of the shoulders, but also for your cervical spine, which runs through your neck and connects up into your skull. So you want to get some traction through all the different parts of the vertebrae, which helps keep it limber and helps avoid injury, things like herniated discs or bulged discs. And coming back to center. We're going to raise our shoulders up and down. Pressing them up as high as you can, squeezing and lowering. And every time you lower them, think about squeezing your shoulder blades together behind you. So raising them right up, squeezing to the ears, and then lower. That's it. And keeping one hand planted on the mat, you're going to reach over long and lean and then come back to the center. Other side, reach over and back to the center. And keep doing that, alternating side to side, not letting either one of your butt cheeks lift off of the mat or the block or the books, whatever you're sitting on. Try to keep it fully planted, feeling that elongation right from your hip bone, from the top of your hip, all the way through to your fingertips. One more time each way. Coming into the center, you're going to take one hand across to the opposite knee and gently turn, looking over your shoulder. And coming back through the center slowly, doing the same thing the opposite way. And continue to go side to side here. Make sure you're still sitting nice and tall. And coming back into the center. We're going to walk our hands out and away from us. So just walking your hands out and away from you, dropping your head down, and coming back up to the center. And do that one more time. Just walk it out and then back in. One more time here. Bringing your hands down on either side of the mat beside you, and you're going to just do some circles with your body. So start small, rotating your upper body around your lower body, and slowly start to make those circles bigger if you can. Making sure that your back is still nice and tall. You're not hunching over. Don't lose that core engagement and the shoulders down and away from the ears. And we're going to rotate the other way. And back to the center. We're going to slowly uncross the legs. Legs should be straight out in front of you. And we're gonna just do a little bit of ankle work here. So making sure that you're still sitting up nice and tall, you're gonna point both of your toes and flex. Point and flex. And you can still sit on top of a block or pillow if you want. It'll help take some of that strain if you feel it in the low back, any pressure in the low back. I would recommend sitting up onto just a slightly raised surface, pointing one and flexing one, and switching. Rotating your ankles in circles. And the other direction. And give your legs a little shake here. Awesome. So still sitting with your legs out in front, you're going to keep one leg straight and move it out to the side. And you're going to bend your other foot in towards the groin area. So it's like you're sitting in a V, but only one of your legs is in the V shape, okay? So just get yourself sort of situated here to start. And we're gonna slowly reach towards the toe of our straight leg and then come back up to sitting. So turning your body towards that leg now, you're going to reach and come back up. Reach and come back up. Just go slow. Don't force yourself to reach too far where you feel too much of a strain. This song's got some talking in it. That's weird. One more time. Pausing here for just a moment. And coming back up to the center, keeping that leg out to the side, twisting the opposite way, a little bit of a counter movement towards the bent leg. And we're gonna turn back towards the straight leg, reach, come back up to the center, and counter movement, twisting the other way. Doing that same one more time, reach, and then twist. Awesome. Coming back to the center, bringing in that leg that was straight, and now putting the other leg straight out to the side. So get yourself first sort of situated. Whenever we're doing movements like this, you want to first get yourself kind of centered. You don't want to just dive into the flow or the mobilization because sometimes you might be off kilter. So get yourself first kind of centered. You want to feel your spine centered through into the tailbone as if both your legs were out to the side. All right? So get yourself centered nicely, and we're going to turn towards that straight leg and start reaching and coming up. Just a gentle reach. And you can drop your head down each time you reach and then come back to center. Last time here, reaching and pausing for a moment. Coming back up to the top, twisting towards the bent knee, looking over your shoulder. coming back through. We're gonna reach for the toes and then twist. Reach and twist. Reach and twist. Last time here, reaching and twisting. Giving those legs both a little shake. Bringing your feet up into a 90-degree bend, resting your heels on the mat, and we're gonna rock our knees gently side to side. Just really slowly, start slow. And just take a moment to notice how far your knees are sort of dropping to each side, because we're gonna come back to this in a little bit and you're gonna see how much more mobility and range of motion you have through the hips. Okay, and we're gonna take it into a 90-90 position. So bending your knees 90 degrees, one leg and the other. And we're gonna rotate around our hips again. So like we did in a cross-legged position, but you're gonna do it around, that's it. And when you're going in the backwards position, you wanna press that back hip down into the mat. So just some gentle rotations. And changing direction. Reaching forward, stretching your arms out and away from you. And pressing the back hip down. Doing that again. Reaching forwards as far as you can. And press the back hip down. When you press the back hip down, try not to let this knee lift up too much in the front. Reaching forwards. And press the back hip down. Forwards and press the back hip down. Awesome. And keeping your feet like that, you're going to slowly rotate through to the other side. So you should now be with the other leg in front, bent 90 degrees. And we're going to just start with some rotations here. The other direction. You should really feel both of your hips rotating. That's it. And we're going to reach forwards and back. Forwards and back. And I've been placing one hand on my front leg so that the knee doesn't pop up. Reach forwards and back. Last time, as far forwards as you can and back. Awesome. Bringing those knees back through the center to a center position again, and we're just going to rock them out again. And now you should notice that your knees drop way lower than they were, maybe at least a little bit lower than what they were when we first did our rocks. Windshield wipering of those knees. You should really feel that internal and external rotation at the hip has already sort of released. And give your legs a nice shake. We're going to take it down onto our backs and just do a little bit more spinal rotation before we get up on our feet. So laying on your back, knees are bent. You're going to take your knees and drop them over to one side. So both knees are stacked on top of each other. They're over to one side, okay? So keep them there. Taking your arms out into a T shape. And your hand, that is the opposite to the direction that your knees have fallen over to, is going to close to the other arm and open. Close and open. You should really feel your chest opening up here as you outstretch that arm back into the T shape. Bringing your knees back into the center and dropping them now over the other way. Taking the opposite arm, bringing it together and open. And really try to get your hand right down onto the ground when you go back to that T shape. So you're going to feel opening up through the chest. You're going to feel a lot of rotation through the spine. Those are all good things. That's what we want. Bringing your knees back into the middle, grabbing onto your shins, curling your nose in towards your knees, rounding out your back, gently doing little circles on your low back. Straightening your legs and arms overhead, stretching as long and lean as you can, and then bring it back in, squeezing in. One more time, lengthen, and release. We're gonna come up onto our feet now. Hopefully everybody's feeling good. I love hip mobility, it's my favorite. I have hip issues, hip tightness, so that's why I always make sure to incorporate it. It's a big joint. It's surrounded by a lot of muscles, and so it's really easy to have issues. So we're gonna come up into a standing position behind your mat. And you're gonna heel toe your feet out into a wide stance. Turning your toes out if you're able to. Making sure that your knees are turning out to face over the toes. So you don't want to buckle your knees inwards. You do want to keep them out nice and wide. Bringing our arms out in front, we're going to slowly lower into a squat. Go as deep as you can where you feel the tension through those knees, or through the inner thigh. Making sure your knees are pressing outwards. Drop your hands down onto the ground, lengthen those legs, and you're gonna lean over into one side, feeling a long lengthening through the inner thigh of the other leg. And switching over to the other side. Try to keep your heel planted on the ground. Here, you don't wanna pop up onto your toe. And switch. And switch. Switch. And switch. Going back to our first side now. Pivoting so your foot is facing forwards. You can pop up onto your toe now. Really straightening that leg, bringing the toes of the other leg up to the ceiling. Feeling a really long lengthening through the inner thigh. Hands are gonna come forwards. You're gonna drop down onto your knee. Other leg, the foot's gonna drop down. And we're gonna just do some gentle rocking here. Forwards and back. Coming back up, turning your toe under, popping back up onto your foot, switching over to the other leg, coming down into a deep squat, up on your toe of the foot you're standing on. Opposite leg, the toes are facing up towards the ceiling. And the reason you want to make sure you're doing this behind your mat is it'll help you stay in line, in a straight line. Bringing your hands down onto the mat, placing your knee down, moving those hands slightly forward, and you're gonna rock here. Some gentle rocking, hip rocking. Beautiful. And bringing those hands in close, turning your toe under, popping up, and we're gonna try to flow through that one more time on each side, just doing 2 rocks. So, switching over, dropping the knee down, rocking 2 times. 1 and 2. That's it. Popping up onto the toe, switching to the other side now, bringing that knee down, and rocking 2 times here. 2. And coming back up, straightening both legs, body is hanging forward. Rolling up slowly to the top, 1 vertebrae at a time. And we're gonna bring our feet now a little bit closer. We're gonna do some more hip rotation stuff. Now, if you have bad knees, you can fold your mat in half this way to give yourself a little more cushion, okay? So we're gonna come down first into a child's pose. So feet are together, knees are spread apart, sitting back, hips down towards your heels, stretching those arms out in front of you. And you can lower your elbows down onto the ground and just sit back. And just sort of sit side to side, little movements through your hips, pressing into one hip and then the other. And coming up into a full kneeling position. You're now going to bring your feet apart. So your feet and knees are now in line with each other. They're right behind each other. And you're only gonna let your legs go apart a distance that feels comfortable for you. So you don't have to be in like a full middle split here, but you do wanna make sure that both of your feet are in line with your knees in a nice straight line behind, okay? So if that means you gotta pop your knees in a little closer, that's fine. We're gonna bring our hands out in front and just do some gentle rocking. Leaning the pelvis forwards and then sitting back. That's it. Coming up into the center, bringing your elbows down, and you can slowly press your knees a little bit more apart if you're able to whatever feels comfortable where you want to turn your feet out. So you want to feel a full stretch through the groin here, okay? And your hips are still in line with the knees. We're going to take one leg and lift it up off the ground and lower. Lift it up and lower without rocking your hips forwards. You're staying centered. And other leg, lifting it up and lower. Up and lower. Last time here. Walking your hands over towards one of those knees, looking over a shoulder, and to the other side. Coming back into the center, gently relieving some of the tension on your knees, bringing your feet together and sitting back into a child's pose. Again, stretching those arms out straight in front. Coming up onto all fours, knees now in a neutral position. I'll just turn this way for you guys. Neutral position, and we're going to hollow out and look up to the ceiling. One more time. Turning under your toes. Sorry, just unflipping the mat here. Pressing your knees off of the mat and into a downward dog position. And from here, you're gonna walk your hands right up to the feet. Stay hanging over those legs. Hugging both elbows. Gently sway side to side here. And slowly rolling up. Okay, that brings us to the end of today's mobility session. We did a lot of hip work, a lot of inner thigh, groin work. We've been working a lot on the outside of the hips with lots of that external rotation, but I wanted to do a lot more of some work with the internal side of things today too. So hopefully you're feeling good. And tonight's workout is going to be 45 minutes. So we're gonna have a little bit more of a longer and focused warm up. So keep that in mind. And we are going to be doing a legs and booty HIIT class. So high intensity intervals. And if you have a booty band like this or like an elastic one works, this is like a heavy duty guy. Please feel free to have it handy because you will be able to add it in. But if you don't have a band, totally okay. You definitely don't need it. You're gonna feel the burn. So thanks for all the nice words, everyone. You guys are awesome. Felt so good. Yeah, me too. Always feels good. I feel like just nice now. Anyways, see you guys tonight, 7:30, 45-minute class. And if you love mobility and that's all you're here for, then our next class is Friday morning, 8 a.m. It's going to be a mobility and stretch, and we're gonna do a little bit more of holding of a few stretches. I've got a few things for the upper body that I wanna sort of hold a little bit longer that I haven't been able to incorporate as much when we're doing more of a mobilization and a flow. So stay tuned for that on Friday morning if that's what you're here for. So have a great day, guys. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you guys later on, 7:30.